Mr. Marchant, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to pick up where Chairman Brady was talking at the very beginning. The Affordable Care Act splits the DHS funds into two pots. 75% of the dollars go into a pot that's being reduced every year, and the other 25%, which is sometimes referred to as the empirically justified pot, is not being reduced. It is my understanding that MedPAC came up with this notion of empirically justified. Can you explain how MedPAC got to that classification and their reasoning behind it?
I can, and I think you're clear in your mind. I just want to be clear in everyone else's mind. We didn't come up with this system that you're referring to, the two parts, but we did come up with the empirically justified notion. So this is work, and this is way back now, but this is work when we were thinking about the indirect medical education add-on payment and the disproportionate share add-on payment. And here's a way to understand it. It's a little bit technical, but I can do it, I think, very simply. Here's a hospital's cost per case. And in thinking about what drives that cost per case, it might be more complex patients in one hospital or another, or differences in wages from one area to another, or something like that. And so you can see that cost go up and down based on what's happening in a given hospital. There are add-ons for IME and, your question, disproportionate share, and the rationale for it has changed depending over time and who you're talking to, but at any one way to think about it was supposed to help hospitals that served disproportionate shares of the poor, and the thought was serving poor folks increased the cost for the hospital. And so if you run that analysis, which I can take you through in detail, but for this conversation, if you run that analysis, it says that's true, but it's this much more, and the adjustment is this much more. So the adjustment overachieved, if you will, and gave the hospitals more than their cost increase. And we just went through the analysis and said the adjustment actually, should be smaller than it is. And we actually didn't even make a recommendation. We just analytically went through it and said this adjuster is set too high.
Is it your opinion that the DHS money is going to the hospitals with the greatest need?
All right. I know you think this is a yes or no question, but let me say it this way. If you think it is about poor Medicare patients, the answer is no, because the DSH adjuster contemplates poor Medicare patients and Medicaid. If you think it's about supporting poor Medicare and hospitals that get lots of Medicaid patients, it's probably tracking that. If you think it's about uncompensated care, it's not tracking that. So it depends on what you think.
Next question may help you with that.
All right.
I'm particularly interested in the hospitals in the state of Texas. As you may be aware, Texas is not a Medicaid expansion state. So it's my understanding that the DHS formula is based in part on Medicaid days for a hospital.
It is.
Is it possible that in addition to losing money on the Medicaid DHS side, Texas hospitals are also losing money on the Medicare DHS side because of how the formula is calculated?
It is correct that if you have more Medicaid patients moving through your hospital, your DSH will be higher.
So in a state that didn't expand, it's arguable that your volume is not what it would be in a neighboring state that had a similar situation that had expanded.
I think factually that is a true statement.
So I have 6 hospitals that have contacted me that I believe they feel like that their funding has been affected by the fact that Texas is not an expansion state based on the formula.
I don't think the fact set is wrong. Okay. Without making a judgment about what people want to do, I think the fact set is correct. If you have more Medicaid patients moving through your hospital, your DSH payments will be higher.
So we're preparing some legislation that we'll present to the committee to try to rectify this. Thank you.
Yep.